Hey, Mrparka here to review a newer one. I believe this came out March 14th. This is Easter Sunday. The tagline's pretty funny here. This year, everyone will be executed. Yeah, this is obviously a holiday slasher. It has Artie Lehman in it and Robert Dazar. I think this is actually his last movie according to the special features, so that's kind of sad. But it also has one of the Colonel from the film Mold. Yeah, he's pretty good, great in Mold. He's a pretty good actor. He's decent in this too. I thought he's pretty fun. But let me get into Easter Sunday. This is definitely kind of your throwback slasher film. There's been a lot of these lately. I believe this was started to get made in like 2013 or something. 2014 it says the release date, and it just got released now. So there's obviously some time and some post production going on there. The film does feel like it should have came out like 8 years ago. The kind of throwback slasher feel is definitely it's kind of worn out its welcome lately, I think. So yeah, so it definitely feels like it probably would have been better suited to be released in 2014. But yeah. Let's get into this one. This is one of those movies that I really, really wanted to enjoy. I really love the cover art, and it just had a fun concept. You know, I like slasher films. I'm kind of burnt out, like I said, of the throwback slasher movies. But yeah, it follows a group of characters who are in a band, and basically they resurrect this old serial killer who killed his family on Easter. One of their friends is actually his long lost son. And it's been kind of a secret, and he lets them know, and the killer comes back and possesses the friend. He runs around and decides to kill all of them. He's got to kill them before midnight on Easter. So that's basically the plot here. What it has going for it is the practical effects are pretty fun, although a lot of them are cheap. A lot of them are pretty effective, and there's some inventive kills as well. Some are just pretty so ridiculous that they don't necessarily work, but there's some inventive kills in here, and the boiled face looked really good. The digital effects, not so much. I think some of those are okay, some of them are pretty rough. But the one thing that I really couldn't get past in this movie was the characters. They're really obnoxious. They're super over the top and ridiculous. And sometimes that can work. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it's funny. And a lot of people may find them funny. I just found it very obnoxious. It wore out. It wore out its welcome big time. Everybody's going at 100,000%, and it shows. Sometimes it looks like some people are trying not to laugh during scenes here and there. The killer's one-liners barely are even one-liners. They're so goofy and bad that they don't even count as one-liners. It has to be intentional. They're not like Freddy Krueger one-liners or Chucky one-liners where they actually work. They're just kind of random sayings and then a chuckle at the end. And a lot of them are far-reaching one-liners, if they are even one-liners. But yeah, the killer is definitely a wisecracking killer. He carries an axe and he hacks people up. Like I said, practical effects very good. Digital effects iffy. The characters, like I said, are the hard part of this one. I didn't mind the score. It was electronic score. It was kind of fun, kind of cool. And surprisingly, who I think did the best job in the movie is if you watch a lot of these old films, they'll bring in like genre actors here and there. And a lot of times, I don't want to sound like a dick, but a lot of the genre actors, if they're in a super low budget movie, they're the biggest thing. They seem to phone it in. Maybe they're tired of doing it. There's been a lot of phone in performances from a lot of genre actors, like classic ones. But I think that they do well in this one. Artie Lehman is actually pretty fun in it. And I've never seen him do a bad job, really. I've only seen him in a few movies, but he always does a pretty good job. It seems like he's actually gets 100% trying, even though he plays into a lot of the Jason jokes that they do in the movie. This movie is definitely very self-serving to horror fans. You can tell that the people who made this movie are actually big into horror films, which is kind of hurts to not like it. To be honest, I wanted to like it. The director's wearing a Madman shirt, which I particularly don't like in movies either. When the shout outs are right over the head, I like my shout outs to horror movies very subtle, and they're very, very abundant in here. But you can tell that they have a lot of passion for the horror genre, which is really cool. And the hour special features behind the scenes and stuff like that, you can tell these guys are diehard horror fans. And I can tell their heart's in the right place. And they decided to make this a super goofy slasher, which I guess I'm not really a fan of at all. So I think it's just way too stupid and goofy. There's some technical issues as well. The ADR is pretty rough, and that could be also why some of the dialogue comes off extra goofy and silly because the ADR. And there's scenes, a campfire scene, where half of it's shot in the day and half of it's shot at night, and it doesn't go through time. I mean, it's just one shot's day, one shot's night, one shot's day. Stuff like that. Characters running in certain rooms, and then he'll have a hat. Stuff like that I could forgive if the movie, if I enjoyed some more aspects of it. But yeah, it just particularly wasn't that big a fan of it. It has that kind of grindhouse look to it as well. I think that it might hide some of the. I don't think that it was as brightly lit as it should have been in certain scenes. I think there was a lot of dark scenes, but that could also be added because they put the grindhouse filter on there, which also I'm burnt out on. So it's not necessarily something that is completely awful. It's just something that I'm not exactly a fan of. I'm kind of burnt out on these kind of throwback slasher movies. Sometimes you'll get a good one in there, like Nowhere, which was recent, but that played it a little bit more serious. And I think that there needs to be a more serious throwback to the slasher movies. Although a lot of these people have a genuine love for them, it just seems like they're making fun of them more than that. And that's not necessarily what they're doing. It's just that it's just a lot of inside jokes here that I think don't work for me. But yeah, like I said, Robert Azar is actually fun in it. Artie Lehman's fun in it, and the guy from Mold, the Colonel, Edward, I can't remember his name. He's good in it as well. The main cast is just kind of also the filmmakers, and they're really obnoxious and ridiculous and over the top. It feels like they're from like a All That skit or something, and it just is a very bizarre mixture. But yeah, it was cool to see the behind the scenes documentary. Was an hour. I actually enjoyed that. They had a kind of a dedication to Robert Azar on there, which was nice, and they showed some behind the scenes stuff. And yeah, so if you like a lot of horror shout-outs to other movies and stuff like that, and completely goofy, over the top slasher movies, then I think you'll enjoy it. I particularly don't enjoy that thing all that much anymore. But, I think that some of it really could work in other ways. I do love a lot of horror comedies. It's just that, like I said, sometimes, my friends sometimes call me the comedy police, because if I don't think it's funny, I just kind of roll my eyes, even though I know a lot of other people will find it funny. So if this sounds like it's your kind of thing, check out the trailer. A lot of kills, a lot of good practical effects, or at least working practical effects. And, some obnoxious, ridiculous, over-the-top acting. I'm Mrparka. Thank you very much for watching, and have a good one.
Hello? Is there anyone there?
Hey, Freddy!
I got a story for you guys. Douglas Fisher, he was my father. He killed my mother and sister. He was supposed to dress up as an Easter bunny for the kids. Instead, he made his own bunny mask.
The mask and the axe, they're a part of me now!
An evil-looking bunny mask.
God!
It's been almost 24 years to the day. 24 years since that horrible holiday. Every year, all this town remembers is that night. Even though I know I killed Douglas Fisher, I can't help but feel he's still here somehow, waiting for his night. Easter.
Say hello to the camera, Ryan.
Good day, mate.
We contacted the spirit of Douglas Fisher, and he possessed our friend Ryan.
Ryan Tate.
No, Ryan Fisher, Doug's son.
He has to kill everyone involved in resurrecting him before midnight on Easter. Do you believe in the devil, Sheriff Arkin?
I've been away for far too long! And you brought me back! On my favorite holiday!
I believe you. You kids got any guns?
Yeah.
Well, keep them close to you and don't be afraid to use them.
What are you gonna do?
I'm gonna go look for a bunny man. Be safe.